So today we're going to discuss the health benefits of microgreens and locally produced and locally bought produce, organic produce, and the comparison between the two. This is basically an overview, not too technical, but we're getting into some details. The different points that we're going to point out or go through today: safer consumption of microgreens and local produce, a shorter food supply chain, in the local produce, the nutrient-dense vegetables and microgreens. Go over some of the differences and some of the specific aspects of microgreens, the nutrient composition, as well as some of the vegetables. And then lastly, where to find them and how to get them is what we're going to overview and to look at today. Microgreens, before we get too in depth, microgreens are vegetable greens that are harvested right after the cuddling leaves are visualized, after they've developed and one true set of leaves has emerged. And that's when the microgreens are ready to harvest. True leaves are the true leaves, and they produce the food for the microgreens, the plants themselves. Sprouts versus microgreens. Sprouts are germinated in water, whereas the microgreens are germinated in soil or on a fiber mat. We do ours on the fiber mats in channels versus the dirt. Local produce. The definition kind of varies between region to region or city to city. The Farm Bill, 2018 Farm Bill, looking up in my knowledge, the local produce is defined as anything under 400 miles can be termed local. Our farmers market here, 50 miles is the radius, and that's the distance that is considered local. Safer consumption and the local produce and the microgreens. More so the local produce. Food safety. The Food Safety Modernization Act, signed in 2011 by President Obama. It shifted the focus from responding to foodborne illnesses to preventing foodborne illnesses. Looking at the water, pre-harvest water, the harvest water that's used during the germination or during the production of produce, as well as the post-harvest water. Traceability is another huge thing that the Food Safety Act watches and is addressing. Harvest handling, how the produce is harvested and how it's handled post-harvest and through the food chain to the ultimate consumer. And then transportation. The food safety starts at the farm with the farmer, and it goes all the way, it impacts the farmer, the harvesting, the storage, the transportation and shipping, the distribution of the produce all the way down to the consumer. Local produce tends to be on a smaller scale as compared to larger, huge agribusiness farms spanning huge acreages. They tend to be more known in the communities. They are known and they are seen in the communities and regions that they supply. These smaller farms can be visited. We had a group of interns the other day that came out and toured the farm. Less pesticides, less herbicides are used, less fertilizers are used typically in the locally produced farms. And that all this reduces the potential for foodborne illnesses and reduces the potential for harmful consequences on one's health eating locally, the local produce versus the larger produce that's shipped in. Less travel time is also included. Some of the different ways of huge transportation, produce is loaded into crates and then onto tractor trailers and then are shipped everywhere. In the far picture as well as the bottom picture, it's storage. Food is stored for an extended period of time as well. Buying local, it's a shorter food supply chain, much shorter supply chain. Local foods, locally produced produce can be bought at farmers markets, community supported agriculture, CSA member subscriptions, as well as it focuses on eating in season. The local or regional foods sold directly to the consumers through roadside stands, through farmers markets, and from the harvest field straight to the consumer, very little transit time. CSAs, community supported agriculture memberships, they purchase the shares up front, the produce is harvested, and then it's distributed within just a day or two. By reducing the transport, by reducing that time from harvest to consumer, it improves and it allows that nutrient to stay in the produce longer. Farmers markets, the CSA allows for greater communication between the farmer and the different consumers and subscribers. Farmers markets, a community event. It's here locally, it's on a weekly basis. Community event, people come out and interact between the consumers and the farmers. It enables the farmers to know their consumers, their customers, and the customers can know their farmers, can see the produce, and can see how well it looks, and can ask questions about how it's produced and how it's grown. As we all know, produce that's spent in the local definition with the markets and the CSA, the produce spends more time on the vine, on the plant, ripening. You get better taste, you get the better nutrients, opposed to processed food or grocery store, the fruits and vegetables in the grocery stores. And we'll get to that in just a moment. The shorter transit time allows for the higher levels of vitamins and higher levels of minerals and the nutrients within those produce to get to the consumer. Eating locally, buying at farmers markets or CSAs allows one to eat in season, eat what's available seasonally. Everything tastes better straight off the vine. Vegetables are picked at the peak, their peak ripeness. They're packaged and then they go immediately to the consumer. Harnessing those nutrients instead of artificially ripening the produce. They all have higher nutritional contents. Produce is purchased in season, is more likely to be fresher, more likely to be higher in nutrients, and is to consume closer to the time of harvest. Some antioxidants such as vitamin C, folate, carotenes, once they are harvested, all these vitamins tends to degrade over time more quickly. So eating locally, eating in season, shortening that food supply chain time down really enables the produce to have a better nutrient content than what's bought at the larger box stores. Processed foods, grocery stores. Fresh fruit and vegetables, the shorter the time, the distance from farm to consumer, the higher levels of vitamins and minerals. Talking about the processed grocery store, this picture is a consumer-supported agriculture and farmers markets. And then the grocery store vegetables, harvested much more earlier than what is traditionally, that's what's, before it's ripe, fully matured. And then it's refrigerated so they don't spoil, and as it's cooled, all those nutrients, the phytonutrient content all goes down. Usually out of season produce that is irradiated to kill the germs as well, and preserved in wax in order to transport it. So not only are you getting the vegetables and the produce that are lower in nutrient content, you also have the wax on some of the vegetables and fruits, as well as this irradiated fruit coming to you. It's harvested earlier than what it's designed for. It's processed for transport, then it's packaged, and then it goes off into the storage area. All these vegetables, such as tomatoes, they are harvested green, and then they are subjected to ethylene gas, which then helps them to start the ripening process artificially. All that triggers the fruit to produce its own ethylene gas, but it's artificially started, and then it ripens. It ripens there in the cooler in storage until it gets to a certain point, it looks right, and then it's put out on the shelves. Typically, it does not have as good nutritional content, nor is it as ripe as right off the vine. Transportation, after it's in storage, after it gets to a certain point, then it's transported. 20% of vegetables that are found in stores, grocery stores, are transported in from out of the region to the grocery stores. Fruits and vegetables stored for long periods of time due to transportation, they reduce all their phytonutrient contents. It starts to go down right after it's harvested. Not only do you lose the nutritional content, but anything packaged, it tends to be in transportation bruised, thus causing damage to the produce and then shortening its shelf life, and it goes bad quicker. Temperature. During the transportation process, temperature has to be maintained as well. So a lot goes into getting the produce to the store. It's harvested earlier, it's subjected to irradiation and to the ethylene gas to artificially ripen it. You have the packaging, you have the transportation, the temperature needs to be controlled. All that goes into it. By the time it gets to the stores, it's much less nutrient dense than what the local produce is. In our situation, going to farmers markets on Saturday morning, the produce is typically harvested either Friday evening or very early Saturday. It's packaged and then it's sold immediately. So that shorter time frame is within hours to maybe a day. After it gets to the store, the consumer then purchases the produce and then takes it home if it's not stored correctly, and then that shelf life goes down considerably, then going bad ultimately. Nutrition. Nutrient dense veggies and microgreens. Phytonutrients, carotenoids, lycopene, gluten, flavonoids, glycoisolates, all come into the realm here. We talk about vegetables here quickly, and then we'll move on to the microgreen aspect. Carotenoids, carrots, peppers, yellow, orange, red colors. They have high antioxidants in them, and they tackle harmful free radicals that damage the tissue. Eating the carotenoids in carrots and peppers help reduce those damaging effects. It helps convert vitamin A, alpha and beta carotene, converts vitamin A, and then it aids in the immune system as well. Lycopene. another phytonutrient found in vegetables. Gives the red and pink color to the tomatoes, the watermelons, grapefruit. Promotes heart health, improves brain function, enhances vision, and strengthening bones. Those local produce all have higher contents of all these phytonutrients. Lutein, spinach and kale. We talked about kale comes up quite frequently, as well as spinach in this nutrition and nutrient-dense aspect of veggies. Flavonoids, again, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties are part of that. Apples, again, kale, onions, berries all have a high content of flavonoids in them. Specifically, broccoli, cabbages, Brussels sprouts, kale, the brassicas, all are high in glucosinolates. They're broken down into metabolites that help protect cells from free radical damage. So eating or having that high phyto content will help or aids in getting all those different nutrients in your body and reducing the antioxidants. Cauliflower, specifically, cauliflower, 3 grams of protein, lots of folate, vitamin C and vitamin K, great source of isothiocyanates and the glucosinolates. Red cabbage, antioxidants as well, beneficial properties of the antioxidants. Just 1 cup of the red cabbage contains 2 grams of fiber and 50% of the daily amount of vitamin C needed. Beets, another root vegetable, high in fiber, manganese, folate, rich in nitrates. The beet juice are. The body converts those into nitric oxide, which can then dilate blood vessels, and it's heart protective as well. Helps lower blood pressure and may reduce the risk of heart disease and improve heart health. Beet juice. Swiss chard is another vegetable. We grow these on the farm. The beets, the cauliflower, the Swiss chard. Loaded with antioxidants and flavonoids. Eating it raw is better than cooking it. Cooking it tends to break down the nutrient content. Lots of magnesium, vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin K involved in Swiss chard. Green peas, just 1 cup of green peas has a lot of vitamin A, C, and K. The recurring theme of the different vitamins and the different antioxidants and the different phytonutrients involved there too. Niacin, folate, thiamine. Kale is a nutrient-dense antioxidant. Brussels sprouts, broccoli, carrots, 119% of the daily vitamin beta-carotene needed. And it gets a vibrant orange color from that. The body converts that beta-carotene to vitamin A as well. Spinach, another high nutrient-dense vegetable. Eaten raw, you get lots of vitamin A and vitamin K, and it boosts your antioxidant levels as well. Spinach, carrots, peas, kale, all the brassicas, Swiss chard. Eaten raw, you get a higher amount of nutrients in them. Eating locally, all those nutrients are higher in content than the processed or the transported in produce. Microgreens. Microgreens. The different varieties of microgreens: broccoli, radish, arugula, and sunflower microgreens are what we specialize on the farm. The broccoli microgreen has a milder broccoli flavor. Is rich in a high level of antioxidants, vitamins A, vitamin C, folate, potassium, calcium, iron, and phosphorus. It takes about 7 to 10 days to go from seed to our harvestable broccoli microgreen. We cut them off on the day of sale instead of storing them a long period of time. Radish microgreens has a higher, spicier taste, different vitamins, A, B, C, E, and K, calcium, iron, magnesium, as well as antioxidants again. It takes a little bit longer for those, about 8 to 9 days, to get to a harvestable plant for the radish. Arugula, a little spicy flavor, contains carbohydrates, some fiber, and then essential micronutrients as well. Vitamins A, C, K, and B2. Sunflower is a little bit more nutty flavor. It has the same type of vitamin composition as the others. In my experience, the different methods of growing microgreens, either in soil, in potting mix, in the fiber mats, all alter the amount and the composition of the nutrients in the finished product. So there's not really a table or a specific amount that can be assigned to them. It's based on the growing methods, as well as the light and the UV light composition that it's exposed to, as well as the fertilizer. You don't need a lot of fertilizer for the various microgreens, as the nutrients that the plant needs is all in that one seed. Different aspects of the growth will change the amount of nutrients available in the microgreen itself. All those are good questions to ask if you're going to the farmer's market, or you have access to the one growing the microgreens, is how it's grown, and ask them specifically about the light link and how it's grown, the method, and the different fertilizers used there. Some of the microgreen growers water and fertilize from the top down with the irrigation with spray. Some microgreen growers water and give them the nutrients from the bottom up. That's how we do it on our farm, is we do bottom watering in the channels, and it gets all the water and all the nutrients from the bottom. Nothing is sprayed on top of the microgreen. That reduces the potential for mold. That increases the shelf life of the microgreens by not having that wetness on top, and it's easier to harvest as well. How and where to find farmers markets, how and where to find local produce. Facebook, Instagram, Google searches, word of mouth, newspapers. In Tennessee, the Tennessee Department of Ag has picked a Pick Tennessee list that has all the different counties, the regions, and they've broken down by counties as to where the farms are. So it's easy to access and easy to find a local farmer to get your produce from. Farmers markets are also on that list as well. You can search that and find your local farmers market. So as we wrap up, this is how we grow. This is radish microgreens. This is how we grow the radish microgreens in the channel. This is how we grow cucumbers in our channels as well, our heated greenhouses, all in the channel, which is about 3 or 4 inches deep, with just a thin layer of water, and then the butter crunch and the red oak leaf are floating the water. So nothing ever touches the tops, and nothing ever touches the fruits that are consumed. So in summary, beets are the most powerful detoxifying vegetable, and the highest antioxidant, microgreen specifically. Microgreens are packed with nutrients, but it varies between varieties. It varies with how it's grown, with the light, and with what's provided to it. Specifically, some of the vegetables, red cabbage, cilantro as a herb, red daikon radish, all have the highest levels of vitamin C, carotenoids, vitamin K, and vitamin E. So in general, microgreens, you get all the benefits and all the nutrients of the larger plant in that smaller plant that is cut. About 5 times greater the levels of vitamins and nutrients in the smaller microgreen versus the larger mature plant counterparts. And then one study I found that has the microgreens have more health benefits and can be up to 40 times more potent in the phytochemicals and phytonutrients than the larger mature plants and larger mature vegetables. So those microgreens are concentrated nutrients. You don't have to eat as much, and it's much more healthier for you to go with the microgreens than with the mature ones. And then always asking about how it's grown, finding the local produce, how the local produce is grown. Asking to visit a farm is a good idea, and you can actually see their production, and see how it's grown, and ask specific questions to the farmer to determine, if that's the type of produce that you want, that has the higher level of nutrients. That is what I have